What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 16 of my Total Warhammer 3 Ikit Claw Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we got a little battle with Scheif as he took our Skull Island, and in addition to that, managed to pick up materials at sea with Ikit. This gave us a little bit of a nice turnaround in terms of our money, and we were able to get a lot of buildings starting on their upgrades, or a lot of cities starting on their upgrades, and for a lot cheaper than we would otherwise have. So I was pretty happy with that result. Unfortunately, though, it looks like Grom has sieged Castle Carcassonne, which essentially deprives us of the 11k money that it was worth in terms of sacking it, and maybe the territory itself, although it does depend on what exactly Grom does here. We shall see. Now, we have several things that we want to do in this turn. We want to possibly siege or continue sieging or attack Fort Saul. We want to probably colonize Ekrund, and while we're here, Mutant, I know that I got you a bunch of units. Are you able to move anymore or no? You know what? Let's move you here. Let's move you up. And the reason that I feel like we want to do that is... Wait, you can still recruit the Skaven save, so keep doing that. But we may have to send you to Paraval. Even though it could probably hold against a single stack, maybe not Lewin and another stack as well. And obviously the same thing goes for Quinnell here. Also, do we need any rattling slingers? Well, you know what? Let's get 2 slingers as well. Yeah, so he needs to be close enough to be able to go to either Paraval or Quinnell, and depending on where the enemy goes. Now, for Fort Saul, let's actually, well, we might as well level you up. Or were we holding this for Specimen Collector into Brass Orb? I think that was the reasoning here. And to be fair, he does have Warp Lightning already. Yeah, this army would probably be best off, since it has Disciplined and Boommaster, it would probably be best off using, being used as a reinforcing army. Like, this isn't going to be a main stack. We'll keep Charge Lock as a main stack, but Morphic will have an army full of Skaven slaves and a bunch of catapults or whatever we fit in there in terms of artillery. But Charge Lock will be the main one. Anyway, speaking of Charge Lock, you're already sieging, buddy. Let's move you to, like, here. And let's see if the fort reacts. And it's not going to react there. But this time we can. Oh, so we are in range. Okay, so unlike last time, we would be able to siege it with our allies. Okay, I appreciate that. Now, I know it says decisive victory and casualties low, but this is a lie. The game is lying. It doesn't recognize that forts have walls. The auto-resolve, for whatever reason, doesn't recognize that. And we can't even build siege vehicles. Why can't we build siege vehicles? It's a fort. You would want to siege a fort, would you not? Am I crazy here? Huh, that's very strange. Improved tower projectiles, clockwork bombs, it's actually not ready for that. Adds walls to the settlement. Wait, are you telling me that the fort doesn't have walls right now? What level is Helmgard? Oh, we can't see Helmgard. What about Bergbrust? Oh, damn it. Speaking of seeing things, i.e. scouting, we need to send another, Warplock Engineer out. Warlock Engineer, damn it. Fleet-footed, aggressive. Okay, these are all terrible for on-field, but it doesn't matter. We just need at least to temporarily send one out, because in 6 turns we can expand under Empire again. Let's get the fleet-footed one. Not really relevant which one. And the question as to where to send you. I still think we continue going north again, and I know that we have a few units that have already went north, but we should probably set something up in another Chaos location. There's some really good Chaos fortresses there, and I really wanted to set another one up at Brasskeep as well, though perhaps a few of these will spread to it. Actually, speaking of spreading our undercities, maybe it's time to build a few mine shafts. Gonna cost us more, but we have the cash right now, so I think we'd be willing to invest in it. Let's do this, and let's do the one at Schwarzhofen. Maybe we'll hold off on the one at Castle Drakenhof. Let's do this, and then Ehrengrad as well. Where are you, Ehrengrad? Right here. Alright, good. And yeah, we'll have to be careful about overdoing it here. And we do want to build you, but between these two, they will both raise the discoverability up by 20, which will put us at 60 over 100, which means if they build an anti-discoverability thing, that'll be bad. So I think we'll hold off on this for now. We'll allow the mine shafts to potentially propagate some stuff, and then we'll delete them later on once we have another city nearby. and we'll replace that with a money building. Alright, but I do want to maintain enough money because we will be building a lot of buildings in the very near future, as we have like 4 or 3 cities being upgraded. Okay, now, the question is Fort Saul attackable? Since we can't siege it, there isn't really too much point. We should probably get at least a couple uses of menace below. And if we attack it anyway... Okay, here's what we do then. Here's what we do. First of all, do we want to maybe activate the 13th scheme just to have the Skryre clanstone there? It's not going to be all that helpful, but... I mean, the question is it worth the 1313? I mean, spell resistance minus 44% is fairly significant. We do have 2 uses of Warp Lightning, which will significantly increase the damage, and this will last for 13 turns, which is quite a while. Plus, it doesn't block us from activating any of our other schemes. Yeah, fine, you know what, let's activate this. 13th scheme it is. And just to help out with that, and then, before continuing, what we'll want is we'll want to have Infecticate go to Ekrund and colonize it.
Night Runner!
Now the question is, do we colonize this at tier 3 or tier 4? Because we want the fort probably at tier 4, at a high enough level that it can hold without us having to put an army in there. Ekrund, however, is also in kind of dangerous territory, so if it gets attacked, it probably needs to be level 4 as well. It's kind of a very high investment in food. And then if we want to take Carcassonne, we'll want to take it at level 3. We're about to put ourselves down to red food, aren't we? Well, I don't see much of a choice in the matter. We could take Ekrund to 3 and risk it getting attacked, but then we'd probably have to counter by building a new army there or something, and who knows when it'll get attacked. You know what? Let's risk it. Colonize at tier 4. As in, let's not risk it. And then we will go green building, green building, green building, green building, and defenses. Alrighty. At least with the level 2 defenses instead of the sniper nest, it'll be the better thing. Now, you... I guess you could go to Dragonhorn Mines as well. Stone Mine Tower will likely be lost next turn to Alaric here, but I suppose we shall see. I actually love to delete you, but if you're going to Dragonhorn Mines next turn, I may as well keep you around. We'll take Dragonhorn at tier 1 though. And Stone Mine, I'd love to upgrade you, but we can't right now either, so keep you around. Scheif, you are marching forward. Ooh, do you have Root Marcher? You do not. Get it now. Warpstone tokens, Zones of Magic Power Reserve change, plus 13 when increasing, but... when miscast chance. Probably want to get Vermintide as fast as possible. I freaking love Vermintide. Let's see. Would it be better to go by sea or by land? Actually, doesn't look like it matters that much. You need to go to Fort Saul. We're not going to wait for him to attack, though. I'd rather not waste the turn. So go, 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 my friend, and you'll heal up on your way there. And you, Mr. Ratmech, oh, I love the name, though. And you are going to go north as well, I suppose, so go roughly the same way. Actually, wait, would it be faster to go like this? Nope, about the same. Damn, it's going to take a long time to get there. The number of turns will expire, which means we probably have to put our Undercity at the Brass Keep then. And then we'll put the next one up somewhere else up there. Alrighty, well, Charge Lock, I guess it's time for you guys to attack. Let's see what we can do about this. We are going to put... let's go 1 use. I don't want to spend the food right now because we need it. I just want 1 use so that we can kill those mortars before they can fire. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be would be useful against crossbows and handgunners as well. You know what? 2. Good enough. Let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go. Time to hit the fort. Now, we've deployed on one side of the battlefield over to this cliff just so that the enemy doesn't have access to nearly as many towers, especially since we don't have siege equipment here. Plus, this army, Charge Lock's army, does have the warp grinders, so we're going to be sending them directly at the walls, A, to knock some of the units out, and B, to essentially open up the wall as fast as possible. If we destroy both of these walls around here, we should be able to silence this tower as well, which will hopefully prevent it from doing too much damage to our army here. Alrighty, and so we begin. We're going to also move up as many of our as many of our slingers and our poison wind globadiers as possible to start firing on top of the walls and over the walls at the enemy archers, who will no doubt be threatening our units here. A brass orb going down and a lightning to follow suit, as we like to do, to once again try to damage those archers as much as possible. And here come the slingers with their support and a little bit of those poison wind globadiers. There we go. One of the nice things about Poison Wind Globadiers, well, one of the many nice things, I should say, because it's such a great unit, is that the Poison Wind application, even though the Poison Wind Globadiers are going to miss most of their shots on top of the wall, as they tend to do, as everybody, I suppose, tends to do, the application of the Poison Wind still happens because you only need one hit, essentially, so it's still quite useful. Here comes another Warp Lightning on those enemy archers, and the walls are in very bad shape, going down to 1800 and should be falling shortly. And good job to the Warp Grinders. We haven't had too much use for them thus far in terms of doing this exact thing that they were meant for, but finally, they're doing it. There we go, 2 walls brought down nearly simultaneously, and we'll be able to move our giant, our bone breakers in, together with anything that we can follow up. Another 3rd Warp Lightning coming down on those enemy archers. I really got to deplete their numbers there. And all while this is happening, we've also summoned a unit of menace below on top of the enemy mortars in there, which is the reason that we brought them, as you may recall. And the mortars are now silenced, and the rest of our army is no longer under threat. Alrighty, Charge Lock with his Doom Wheel also moving in, trying to tie up as many of those crossbows as possible. And gotta prevent them from firing. And now it's time to stream on into the city. And hey, even here come our Warp Grinders. I love the little leaping and jumping that the Bone Breakers do. Here comes another Brass Orb into a massive blob of enemy units, and this is where the biggest blob, I think, is going to be in this battle, and thus we are going to actually move our Warp Grinders into the fray. We're going to pop a Scorch down just to try to damage the enemy a little bit, and we're going to pop that Seismic Snare and Warpquake at the same time to stop these guys in their tracks and dish out a little bit more damage. Beautiful. Alrighty, now we do need to be careful as there are still enemy range units back here, a crossbowman unit and a handgunner unit that could certainly do damage, but we're very much in the city now, and the enemy, it doesn't look like they're having too good of a time already. Beautiful. We've also got our Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers who have marched in together with our Skaven Slaves, tying the enemy up and once again allowing our Bone Breakers to, well, break some bones. I believe this is now the 2nd Snare as well as the 2nd Warpquake going down, plus we have the Clan Skryre Stone going down, plus we have another Warp Lightning, and the Poison Wind Globadiers are trying to focus down this unit of Empire Knights, and as we can see, between the Stone and the Snare and the damage, all of these units in the center are really suffering, though it's kind of hard to see them, so as you can see, maybe a little bit inaccurate. There we go. Very dusty here when the Warpquake is active. Alrighty, down it goes. Still plenty of enemy units remaining. We are also seeing a decent amount of support, as we can see, arcing over the walls from our Skaven Slave Slingers. Our 2nd army is also on the field and is moving in to join the fray as well. We brought plenty more Slingers together, as well as the Poison Wind Globadiers and Poison Wind Mortars, though it looks like the enemy army is in such bad shape that we may not even need the 2nd army here. Honestly, I was expecting more of a fight from the enemy over the fort, but I guess the Warp Grinders enable this to be a pretty decently easy take. Love it. Good job to the Warp Grinders. Once we got our Doom Flayers moving around in the background, they have stopped a enemy unit of spears here, and we'll be able to move around and distract enemies. Here come the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers as well, who we will probably eventually remove from this army. Maybe put him in a Moor's army or something like that. I guess we can't really do a Clan Vulcan theme, can we? I mean, actually maybe we can somehow. I assume by the name and the fact that they have fiery swords, it's a minor clan with a fiery theme. If we get some sort of ally with a bunch of fire units, we can combine Warp Fire Throwers, these Clan Rats, and speaking of Warp Fire Throwers, maybe a few other units. And, It looked for a second like those Warp Fire Throwers weren't hitting anything. Ooh, very nice charge from those Doom Flayers, trying to bail out the Warp Fire Throwers as they did get a little bit engaged in melee by a single unit of spears, but I don't imagine the spears are going to have too good of a time with both Doom Flayer units plus 2 Warp Fire Throwers in there. And it looks like the battle is just about over at this point. We've engaged or prevented every enemy range unit from firing other than this one, and the Doom Flayers are going to head towards it shortly. Our Skaven slaves are also engaging these 2 units of infantry here, and I think these will be the last units who fight here, so let's try to bring them down. Another set of Warp Lightning, and I do believe we're also bringing up at the same time both our second army's Lord, who will get at least a few hits in there, plus we do still have our mortars coming in, our Poisonmen mortars, and they are going to get a few hits into the enemy units even as they run away, and we end the battle. No. One of the poor Skaven slaves goes flying together with the enemy there, but there we go. Very nice, and I wanted to end the battle immediately. Obviously, we don't need to chase the enemy, but I was also concerned about this unit getting absolutely deleted by our own mortars, which wouldn't be all that surprising, to be fair. Good job, everybody. This worked out quite well, didn't it? You know, I gotta say that I feel like that went a lot better than I was expecting it to go, especially for attacking a fort. Our losses were extremely minor here, and we didn't even need our second army, and they didn't really do anything either because they didn't get there in time. First army destroyed the garrison quite nicely. Good job. And yeah, most of our losses were Skaven slaves, a little bit on the warp grinders as well, but they certainly helped break through those walls real quick and allowed us to do what we did. So I do like them in this army, and we'll probably keep them in there. Now, we will probably want to sack the place. I mean, it's actually only a 600-point difference, but will loot and occupy still give us unit replenishment if we sack first and then loot and occupy after? I'm not 100% sure. Do we risk it? No, we could just straight up loot and occupy. The 600 money is really not that big of a deal. If we do... Yeah, so if we do this... If we do tier 4, which is what I wanted to do, it'll be a little bit iffy. And the growth here will unfortunately be so slow that if we don't do tier 4, it'll probably never hit tier 4, and it is a choke point. I would have preferred to have taken it at tier 3. I mean, obviously we'll get the food back. It's the construction cost that kind of bothers me here. But oh well, you know what, we're going to take it at tier 4 then. Loot and occupy. And there we go. Very nice. Winter's Teeth Pass secured, and this means adds walls to settlement. I do wish that it said what kind of defenses. I hope that this means that it's using clockwork towers rather than the weak stuff. Actually, 70 growth isn't that bad. Maybe we could have gone with tier 3. But oh well. Obviously, we're going to go with exploitative planning here. A little bit of free food back at the very least, which is a nice thing about having the forts. And yeah, now we really, really need to get food. I want you to march stance a little bit closer. We're gonna stay here for now, but we will probably jump over to Karakern and try to take Karakern itself also at level 3 shortly. What's the garrison like here? Oh wow, the garrison's actually... This is the tier 4 garrison? Only 2 units of storm vermin. Huh. Wait, I don't even see them here. Wait. 5 clan rats, 4 night runners, 2 storm vermin. I don't see 4 Night Runners, and I don't see 2 Storm Vermin. Maybe it'll come up next turn. Hopefully it's not bugged. We may have to keep a slave army of just Skaven slaves or something. Mostly slingers here for a while. Oh, looks like Averheim is under siege. I don't know whether they will win, depending on what's in the garrison, but still interesting. Yeah, it looks like our ogre friends, quote-unquote, are in trouble, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for us, especially if we want to take all this stuff. I'm actually tempted to do something real Skaven here, so... We went into a military alliance with the Disciples of the Maw. what we can now do is declare war on Thorgrim, which would force him to fight the disciples which are bordering him, but he'd have to go through all of their territory to get to us, which I doubt he'll do, and we'll fight him eventually anyway. I think this is a decent idea for now, so we are indeed going to do this. I'm going to call our allies to help, who are going to do it. This feels like very Skavenly appropriate to manipulate them into an ally, to an alliance rather, and then get them into a war. I'm very amused with this. Alrighty, well, that looks good to me. Food is lacking, but hopefully we'll get it back. I wonder how much we can get back over the next turn. What else can we do here? We do have a bunch of level ups, but we don't need to deal with them. Is there any territory that we can get money from that we're not right now? Well, obviously all the tree places, and ooh, I just realized the tree places will have lost a lot of public order because we just flipped from +2 to -1, so that's 3 less. And they are generating food right now, which we do need. Just slightly concerning. I suppose we could get an army in there to deal with any rebellions that pop up. The garrisons are kind of trash, but a single army should be able to deal with it. Even Mutant with a with an all Skaven slave army plus the elites. Yeah, I think that'll work. Anyway, let's skip the rest of this. Building upgrades available. You know what? Ikit, how badly damaged are you? Not so badly damaged. You're going to switch back to regular stance. We are then going to give you some stuff. We are going to give you unlimited power. Beautiful. And then we're going to give your units some stuff as well, as in your minions, as in your warlock engineers. Although everybody's like it's minion. Let's get you sapper. We don't need overseer, at least not right now. I don't believe... Overseer doesn't increase the range, right? It's just leadership aura. It would be nice if it increased the aura of, for example, extra powder. Effect range 35 meters. An extra 40% on that wouldn't be anything crazy. But yeah, I feel like they should tie these auras to leadership aura, because I'm pretty sure they're not. Either way, you are good as you are in terms of your magics, though evasion would probably be useful. In some sense, you're probably never going to fight. Let's get you increased mobility, I suppose, then. Just taking a look if there's anything else that we could get for our ranges, but no, let's get you increased mobility. And I'm gonna get both of them increased mobility, mostly because I don't want to be swapping them around constantly. They really need to fix the thing where it's the second unit that applies the increased mobility, because right now we have it on the first one and then it's not working, right? Anyway, the reason I wanted to do that right now was... Storm Demon. Alrighty, the time has come. It'd give us food, it'd give us +2 control for all provinces, which I guess we do need right now. A little bit of warp fuel, though I would like more. I don't imagine that it's going to have too much trouble. Now, I am going to give the little lore blurb here a bit of a read, because I like to do these for quest battles. So, Ikit Claw understands very well the direct confrontation with the Lizardmen is not viable, but wiping those tiresome toads from the face of the world always remains a priority. Tiresome toads, very nice. Chef's kiss. In an effort to weaken them before drawing them into battle, he had sent into motion a plan to corrupt their blessed spawning pools by using a warpstone tractor beam to blast the Chaos Moon, raining down fragments and supplying him with bountiful deposits of warpstone to fuel further experiments. Oh. So, another Ikit really doesn't like that moon. Irritatingly, the ever-watchful Slan Astromancers spotted the falling warpstone on Ikit's approach, so are fully battle-ready, with additional Lizardmen reinforcements already on their way. Collecting some of the pure fallen warpstone from the field, Ikit repairs his deadly warp lightning thrower, Storm Demon, and steels himself for the fray. Sounds like fun. What are we facing off against here? A bunch of weak Lizardmen, but I do imagine there's probably a reinforcement, even though it's not saying it. This can't be it. There has to be a reinforcement in there. Let's find out. Yes, we want to teleport. And there has to be a reinforcement, right? This can't be it. We're not going to bother with the menace below. Go. With the construction of his warpstone tractor beam, Ikit Claw has really outdone himself. Needless to say, any plan involving the invention of a device to pull giant chunks of warpstone down from orbit could only be thought up by an individual both deranged and brilliant in equal abundance. Whether or not Ikit will see his original plan through to the end and corrupt the Lizardmen spawning pool, he isn't going to let any of the fallen warpstone go to waste, and those pesky lizard things better not get in his way either.
Ikit has the biggest brain of all rats. Hatched a simple, masterful scheme. Yes, yes. First, gather the fallen warpstone. All the warpstone. Second, make all these stinking reptiles die. Murder, death, kill devices at the ready!
Oh, Wicket, the murder, death, kill devices should always be at the ready. Well, here we go, you guys have asked for it, and it's time for the mission for the Storm Demon. Should be a pretty fun time. We can't see it here because this is the replay, of course, but the objective actually says to defeat the enemy Lizardmen armies, so there's definitely reinforcements regarding what the quest said. Also, I really like this unique map with all the warpstone chunks falling from the sky. It's quite nice. And I can see why Ikit wants those. Those are some pretty big warpstone chunks, and we got plenty of other big ones falling as well. Alright, but of course we have to take care of the lizards first. Unfortunately for us, though, and I do have to wonder whether this was designed like this on purpose, the enemy army and our army is essentially separated by a massive set of hills, which wouldn't allow either our rattling guns or our warplock Jezzails to actually fire. So we have to quickly try to take these hills and try to get into a position where our units aren't screwed over by the terrain in terms of their firing angle. Fortunately for us, though, our well, at the very least, our Plague Claw catapults can fire. Not sure about the Warp Lightning cannons, might have to move them onto a cliff as well, but it's something. Ikit's also going to try to move up and once again distract the enemy, as he tends to do. Gonna pop that Brass Orb and some Warp Lightning, as well as that Clan Skryre Stone down. Or Skryre Clanstone, whatever. And we're going to use a Scorch. Not going to do too much here, but just to hit the enemy and continue to distract them. Especially as most of our army can't really do much. There we go, some nice shots with the mortars and the Doom Rockets coming in, trying to focus down the infantry, while our own units are still trying to take those kills. Unfortunately, the enemy is getting closer and closer to us here, so we do have to be careful, but at least a few units are finally able to get line of sight and start firing on the enemy. Yeah, the skinks are going to be in very, very bad shape here. Ikit's doing a great job trying to force the entire enemy army to chase after him, but he has taken about half HP damage due to the fire. Actually wondering what exactly did so much damage to him. Was it the skirmishers or was it the salamanders? Not super important, I suppose, because he does have the second wind serum. Ooh, and here comes a unit of skinks actually reaching our unit of warplock Jezzails, but Ikit hits them right in the back just in time. And there we go, now the rest of our units are starting to get in range as well. Warp fire throwers are in, rattling guns are firing, and the enemy salamanders are getting absolutely gunned down. Glorious. And it's nice to fight the lizards. Yeah, we gotta really gotta try to confederate Clan Pestilence so we can fight the lizards in Lustria as well. Which would be nice. It really depends on whether Clan Pestilence actually wins or whether the Cult of Sotek wins. Oh man, and I'm actually a little bit wary of fighting the Cult of Sotek now that I think about it. I encountered some difficulty in fighting them in my Kairos campaign because they have that obnoxiously overpowered ability, the Jungle Swarm, which essentially kills a unit or several units if used upon them. And there's no real way to get away from it because it's a bound army ability. Alrighty, well, it looks like the first enemy army digression aside, has been pretty much destroyed here now that we've taken the hills, and it looks like a few units need to arrive. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit here. Ah, there we go. A few units need to come back. By the looks of it, the second army doesn't actually spawn until the first one is either fully destroyed or fully forced to shatter. Not to worry, I don't imagine that'll take too long. Here comes the Death Mortar. Causing death, as it likes to do. Damn, that was one volley. That is absolutely brutal. Skaven would have done great in World War I. Even getting some warp lightnings firing on the salamanders as they try to escape. This unit actually still not having routed yet, or routing but not shattered yet, despite only 3 units remaining at 106 HP. This is actually really surprising. Plus army losses, plus their lord is dead. This unit should have absolutely shattered here. Huh. I guess it's, well, it's the AI cheating as it likes to do. Anyway, let's speed it up while that unit gets off the field, and there we are. And the second army is now on the field. The second army is composed of some Ripperdactyl units, a solar engine, or engine of the gods, rather, as well as some Temple Guard and a Slan. So much more elite units than the first army, but unfortunately for them, much slower units, A, and B, flying units are of no threat to an army that has a bunch of ability to cast, what is it called again? Howling Warp Gale. We have 3 uses of Howling Warp Gale available to us, so these guys are going nowhere. Anyway, we're going to start this battle off once again by getting our Jezzails to start focusing the enemy engine of the gods, while our Zap Zap starts focusing down those Ripperdactyls, and our Plague Claw catapults can go after the relatively slow Temple Guard. The Zap Zap's looking like it's going to get a nice hit there, probably at least knock one of them out of the sky. And here comes that Howling Warp Gale. Ah, what an obnoxious ability. Against enemy flyers, at any rate. And since we have that, the Rattling Guns are going to take advantage of it as well as they move in to start gunning down those poor Ripperdactyls. Between that and the Zap Zap, these things shouldn't be alive much longer, and in fact one of them is already broken, and the other one should be broken as well shortly. Beautiful. Both of them are out. Now, let's check back. The Jezzails have done a number on the enemy Ancient Stag, who's running the heck out of there and has got a sliver of HP remaining. The Slan and the Temple Guard are still trying to move towards us, but the Jezzails are now focused on them. There's a Brass Orb, there's the Death Mortars, and yeah, they're not going to approach us. There's no way they're getting here, and here comes a Warp Lightning to follow up our Brass Orb once it's sucked some units in. Beautiful, and looks like these Temple Guard are routing already. The Engine of the Gods is coming back. And there's some brave chameleon skinks. Oh, they're probably just not visible. Not so much brave, just we can't see them. Or at least not yet, but as soon as they get closer, they're gonna have a bad day. Here comes the Warp Fire Throwers. 2 volleys out of that. And all the Rattling Guns. Oh, that's horrifying. That is horrifying, and that unit was killed to all but 1 skink. This is the last one remaining from that 1 volley. And I guess it got knocked down, and that might have caused it to go invulnerable, or it actually just straight up died. Well, there we go. With that, the battle is just about ours. The last of the Temple Guard getting ripped apart by our Rattling Guns, and, well, by pretty much everything. Slan is still here, but is now starting to take shots from the Zap Zap and the Rattling Guns as well. And the Jezzails, of course. And there we go, he is now, I believe, shattered, or no, well, he's about to. And the Ancient Stegas as well. Oh, look, some of those Ripperdactyls came back. Oh, these poor units. They really should have just let us have the Storm Demon rather than even trying this. And the Slan, unfortunately, well, doesn't so much get away, but the battle simply ends as soon as the entire enemy army shatters. But I'm sure the Slan would have died to the Warplock Jezzails firing at it as well. You know, the hills worked against us for the first army, but for the second army, they actually really helped because it allowed our Jezzails to be up on top, our Rattling Guns to be just below them, and then our Warp Fire Throwers to be just below them. So it's a nice sort of elevation that allowed all of our units to fire at the same time without getting in each other's way. So, you know, give and take. Lovely map, too bad we probably don't see it again, but, well, I suppose that there are many special maps throughout the game that are like that. Oh well, pretty fun battle. Close victory. I guess we might have taken a little bit of damage, but I don't think we care, A, and B, we could always heal up if we need to. Let's see about those rewards, shall we? Alrighty, there was that second army. Still, it wasn't a very powerful one, and they didn't really get too much mileage out of the Slan, out of the Engine of the Gods, out of the Pterodactyl Riders, or Ripperdactyl Riders. Though I don't imagine too many air forces are going to get too much mileage ever against Ikit's army. But hey, we may be surprised at some point. Now, in terms of this, we could heal up, and I think that's what we'll do. We are in enemy territory, and I'd like to continue getting more food via raiding. So yeah, let's eat the captives while we're there, and there we go, we got the Storm Demon. Lovely. 5,000 extra cash, the item itself, which provides us with 2 control for all provinces, which finally I guess is useful, though I guess it'll mean less food in terms of rebellions. We got the bonus versus large and armor-piercing weapon damage. Honestly, as a weapon, if you discount the magic missiles, it's quite lackluster. I don't really think that it's very powerful at all. It would be nice if it leaned a little bit more into the strengths of the Doom Wheel, perhaps, and maybe even gave, I don't know, a little bit of extra range damage or something like that. It is, after all, I don't know. It would feel a little bit better. But then again, you're not necessarily supposed to be using it while in the Doom Wheel, right? But when Ikit's just on the ground. Either way, it's fine. We got the extra casualty punishment rate for all armies for 2 turns as well, and a little bit of extra warp fuel, so that puts us up to 9. Lovely. And there you go, buddy. You will have it... Oh, you have it activated immediately. Which means, let's just check here. We're now at 0, 0, and 3. Not too bad, especially since this also swung back into yellow. Of course, if we manage to take Carcassonne, it'll swing back down to red, but all good. Alright, well, pretty happy with the results of that. Ikit, you have to stay where you are. You know what, just in case, get a little bit closer to Castle Carcassonne. Actually, you probably don't need to. Either way, just go into raiding. Do what you're doing. It's extremely unlikely, but you never know. What if Grom somehow manages to lose? Like, maybe he senses Lewin coming after him, though I think that what Lewin's going to do is he's going to try to go for Brion, or maybe go after Morgar, and he would easily defeat Morgar. Actually, speaking of Morgar, still doesn't have anything particularly useful for us there. Huh, he's almost willing to go into military alliance. I wonder if we... Oh, he's not at war with anybody we're not at war with. Are you willing to join wars against anybody, or are you a coward? It's really difficult to get Beastmen allies to join war against anybody. They're weirdly cowardly, and I get that they're very weak by virtue of the way that they function, but it's odd. Like, you maybe should have some kind of other thing that you could give them in order to join war. And I know you could join wars with them, but since they have a difficult time joining war, then you can't join their wars against too many factions in order to have them join your wars against other factions. Blah. Not a big deal, though. We mostly want them for their units, some of which could be quite useful for our armies in particular. Anyway, I think with that, we're ready to end the turn. We're actually out of time in this episode, aren't we? Let's just double check if there's anything to build, though I don't imagine that there is. I'd like to end the turn just to see what, if anything, anybody does, and I'm really curious to see if this resolves itself, so let's end the turn, and then we will call the episode there. I'm not going to bother with any skill points, because I don't think anybody can get attacked with the possible exception of Charge Lock, but they would have to be absolutely insane to attack him with the fort and a second army there. So they're not going to do that. Even the AI is not that crazy. Alright, building upgrade available, no, end turn, let's see. Hope I didn't forget anything. Also, I really like our setting the dwarfs and the ogres against each other move. Hopefully that pays dividends and allows us to take Matorka and Akendorf later. that extra food would be coming in real handy right now. And at the end of the day, we could always just betray the, betray these guys. If we declare war again on the Bloody Hands, for example, they'd have to fight them as well. Ally begins outpost construction, ally begins outpost construction, faction destroyed, and damn, they took it. Okay, well that's a little bit unfortunate. It's a tier 3 as well. Damn, I really wasn't expecting them to actually take the territory. Oh well. And a missile focus, recruit rank for missile units. Undercity established Castle Alexandrinov. Ooh, swell. Well done to the Undercities for propagating themselves. And does that finish up our minor campaign of victory condition? Short campaign, occupy, loot, or raise, or sack. 29 out of 30. We're nearly there. Not that this is that big of a buff or matters at all, but still would be nice to get. And, I wonder what you would want. Oh, military alliance. I wonder what you would want for Castle Carcassonne. Minus 49. That's a little bit iffy. A little bit unlikely, eh? Plus 6.3 for declaring war on Reichland. Yeah, it's kind of not worth it either. And if we were to declare war on Reichland... I was just thinking we'd want to draw the ogres into it, but apparently not so much, and isn't super necessary. Anyway, with that, I am going to call the episode here. At the start of next episode, we're going to trade Stone Mine Tower to the Bloody Hands for something, money, whatever. Doesn't really matter, because otherwise Alaric here is going to take it for himself, as it can't really defend itself. I mean, yeah, we could set up a temporary lord there and get some regiments of renown, but I feel like it's not necessary, especially as we don't own too many territories here. Maybe we will later on, but it's not super necessary right now. Scheif, in the meantime, is going to continue onward towards Fort Saul, while these guys hopefully attack Karek Hearn, and Ikit will try to ambush Lewin, and maybe set up an ambush outside Brienne, because it looks like that's where he's headed, unless he's actually going for Quinnell, because he is facing this way, which is making it kind of unclear, and so are you. Kind of unnerving that you're facing this way, but you can't. I doubt that you can reach Quinnell, but either way, they definitely can't reach Paravent, so we know where to send Mutant. Anyway, lots more fights to do, hopefully some more sneaky scheming with the Skaven, so stay tuned for it. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.